To help you guys get ready for your research projects, this is just a brief, or at least I hope it's brief, a brief introduction to how to conduct sociological research. You'll begin with a research problem. So I've taken these from another textbook that I've been using to get some additional information for you guys. But it quoted it and said the best sociological research begins with problems that are also puzzles. So first of all, you need to decide what problem you're going to study. And you'll probably start out with something that will be pretty broad, and you may have to narrow that down as you go, so that you can do research that will specifically help you answer the questions. So once you've picked your problem, you want to do a literature review. So you're going to review research and other things that have been written about the problem that you're studying. This will help you narrow down the problem. It will also help ensure that you don't do the exact same research that somebody else did, or it will give you some options as far as studying other studies, or maybe some different turns or twists on other studies that have been done to see if you can replicate the results. All these are options that may come to you through the literature review. After you've done a little bit of research and reading on the problem and things that might help you understand your problem better, you want to clarify the exact problem that you're studying. One of the things that you want to come out of that clarification process is your hypothesis. Your hypothesis is going to be your educated guess that your research is now going to either prove or disprove. So you've defined the problem you want to study, and you've done some outside research on that problem to get a good understanding of the basics of that problem. And then you want to come up with your hypothesis. And that's going to be a crucial piece to your research because it's going to help you define how you do your study and how you analyze your results. After you clarify your problem, you're going to need to work out a research design. So you're going to have to figure out what kinds of data you want to be analyzing and your methods that you're going to use to go about collecting that data. You're going to have to decide what the best approach is to studying your problem, the kind of data you're going to need to either prove or disprove your hypothesis, and how you're going to go about getting that. There's quite a few different ways to carry out your research, or to work out that research design. A couple of different options that are available to you, and I'm just gonna cover a few of those right here in the presentation, a few of the main ones. And the first one is ethnography. So this is a way of doing research that studies people or groups by either living with them and around them and recording what you see, or doing interviews and actually talking with people and getting to understand who they are and why they do what they do. This would be something you could do if you wanted to study coffee drinkers at Starbucks. You could sit in Starbucks for a morning and write down what you see, write down how people order, and maybe even, if you can, ask them why they ordered what they ordered, or do they order the same drink all the time, and watch people, observe people. It's an interesting way of doing research. There's survey research. So you'll use either online or paper pencil questionnaires, and you'll have a set of questions that you're going to have your respondents answer, and you're going to collect that data. So you may want to study the coffee drinking habits of high school students, and so you may ask questions like, how much coffee do you drink a day? Where do you buy your coffee? What's your favorite brand? Anything like that, that people are going to give you answers to those questions that you can then tabulate or aggregate, and that will help you in your research of coffee drinking among high school students. That will enable you to test a hypothesis under controlled conditions that you establish. So you might want to take a group of high school students to Starbucks and have them all try a caramel latte, and then take that same group of students to McDonald's and have them try a caramel latte there, and you might want to record what happens. You might want to record how the group reacts at Starbucks, how they react at McDonald's, all sorts of things you can record doing research of that type. But there you're giving them a specific environment and you're testing it out. You're running them through a set of activities or processes and then recording the results. Research. This enables researchers to document whether social behavior varies across time and place and by one's social group or group memberships. So you might want to study coffee drinkers in Sweden as well as coffee drinkers in America and also coffee drinkers in Australia. And you might want to compare the differences or similarities between those groups. And then you'll interpret those results and it will inform you about those different cultures as well as the coffee in those cultures and all sorts of things. We'll just mention historical analysis. This is considering ways that the historical context has impacted the problem that you're studying. So if you want to study coffee drinking in the 2010 to 12 era and measure that or compare that to what coffee drinking was like in the 80s and also what coffee drinking was like in the 50s. That will give you some interesting historical trends and sociological trends. For instance, Starbucks didn't exist in the 50s. And so what did people do with coffee in the 50s? And what do they do now? And why is that different or why is that changed? Those would be some things you could use historical analysis to study. So after you've worked out your research design, you'll just need to carry out the research. It's here where you would try your experiment or pass out your surveys and collect the results. You'll need to give the people a certain amount of time period to complete the surveys. This is where you would read additional articles, or if you're doing a study that studies other studies, this is where you want to collect the set of studies that you're gonna analyze and draw conclusions from. This is also the point in your studying where you might come up with some obstacles. You might find that the research that you set out to do is running into difficulty because you can't get answers or you can't get access to certain information. All those obstacles are obstacles you'll need to overcome, and you can talk about those and list those in the final report on your research. After you've got your data, you've collected or recorded the results and the observations you've had, you're going to analyze it. You're going to have to interpret the results and figure out what do these statistics now tell me. So perhaps 1 million gallons of coffee were consumed in 1950 in America, and maybe 20 million gallons of coffee were consumed in the 2010-12 era. What does that tell you? It tells you Americans are consuming more coffee, but it may just tell you there's more Americans, or it may tell you that we drink more coffee at one sitting now. It could tell you all different things. But what you're going to do is you're going to sit down with your data and you're going to look at it and say, what can I conclude from this data? What does this tell me? How does this contribute to solving the puzzle that I set out to solve? How does it impact my hypothesis? Was I right or was I wrong? Is more information needed? All those things you're going to look at as you analyze the different data you've collected and interpret the results. Lastly, you're going to report your findings. One of the key things that sociologists do is they share their research with others, and they may be doing that by publishing it in a sociological journal. They might do it by presenting at a conference or teaching at a university. And so one of the key things you're going to be doing is you're going to be writing a report and making a video presentation to report your findings. Important parts of this report are going to be a section that talks about each of the 1 through 6 items that we've covered today. So you'll have a piece in that report on how you picked your problem, why you picked your problem. You'll also talk about the extra reading that you did that talks about the background of the problem, why it's a problem, things like that. Then you're gonna list your hypothesis. You're gonna list why you think that or thought that, and then you're gonna describe your study, what you did, why you chose to do, whether you chose a survey or historical analysis or another kind. You're going to talk about why you did that, why you chose those methods, why it worked or didn't work well. And then you're going to talk about how you went about doing the study. And lastly, you're going to talk about the results. And the results portion is going to be the most significant portion of the paper. It's there where you share what you found, answers to the question, pieces to the puzzle that you were researching when you started. You're going to suggest some answers to how to solve the problem. What your data suggests would be good ways to approach it. All those things are what people are going to be interested in as a result of your research. And so you definitely want to include that. And as you do your video, you're going to want to include some of that as well, but you're also going to want to have, you're going to want to present your video creatively. Keep in mind, you want your presentation to be compelling. So as you think about a group of people that have presented you with a problem, and now you've come back and you're giving them the solution, you want to do it in a persuasive manner. So you're saying, here's how I researched the problem, here's what I found, here's what I think we ought to do about it. And in your presentation, you want to be persuasive. And of course, in your report, you may also pose new questions. Your video presentation may do that as well, and suggestions for other people if they want to do further study. This is also a good place to list those as well.